So what are some of the site improvements that we think just could generally be made as part of any alternative for development there? There are kind of several categories that we put these in. The first one is mobility, then recreation, public works, and then finally housing. And so I want to kind of go through some of these common improvements. First, just looking at circulation in the site. The site has access on Red Oak there and on a couple spots along Moraga Avenue. And so there's certainly the ability to improve those access points. And then there are actually a couple spots where the site does touch Abbott Way and Maxwellton Road. One key access improvement that we think would be important is to create some kind of signalized control at the intersection at Moraga Avenue. And so we want to make sure that there's pedestrian safety, a way to cross that street in a safe manner. We also want to think about how pedestrians are accessing the site. And so here you have a sidewalk that's on the north side of Moraga Avenue, and it runs up, about to the entry to the sports field, to Coaches Field, and to the Public Works Yard, but doesn't really continue past that. And so we'd like to propose that there's an existing that existing sidewalk is extended to the east on the north and south side of Moraga Avenue. That we also, could explore other off-street trails, potentially something going up on the hillside to capture some of the great views that exist out towards Oakland and the Bay. The existing bike trails, there is a newly marked bike trail or bike path on Moraga Avenue from, again, about that entry to the Courtyard and Coaches Field heading east. But it's unmarked on the western portion connecting to the rest of the city and is just shared with cars on the downhill or westbound northern lane of Moraga Avenue. There are certainly limitations in the road width, and so especially around the corner, kind of coming into the village or coming into the most of the residential development. And so we recognize that. But we think with that, it's at least important to stripe and create the proper width for a continuous bike lane connecting into town. So these are some street sections that illustrate that. You can see both kind of existing on top and proposed on the bottom. And so this AA section is, kind of in on that one of those tight areas. And we are proposing to grade out the slope just a little bit so that we can get a full bike lane on that eastbound, so going uphill where bikes are traveling a little slower than traffic and provide a little bit more safety for bicycles. On the downhill side, our general understanding, talking with traffic consultants, is that bikes are traveling at about or closer to the speed of cars and is a little bit safer for them to share the road. As we get a little bit more room, we're continuing that bike lane, providing for a turn pocket into Coaches Field and the Courtyard. As we go even further up the road, we actually have a bit more room to work with as it gets flatter on the Blair Park open space side, and so we're able to provide again continuation of that bike lane and the sidewalks on both sides of the road, and that's illustrated in these bottom proposed sections for both sections C and D. We're also tracking the different programs that are both existing and proposed. These are some of the proposed programs related to rec, so that U14 soccer field, potentially a youth baseball, softball overlay, proper parking, and some type of skate infrastructure, a skate spot at the very least. Some visualizations of what some of those could be. We were looking at some precedents. We're interested in how to combine uses for space efficiency. And so we thought even, the idea of putting a field on top of a parking structure, maybe not, maybe one layer of parking to meet the needs of the city, that could be something that could be integrated in, at a certain cost. We also, as I said earlier, met several times with the Public Works Department to understand their space needs and documented kind of what they're currently working with. The feedback we got is that their uh, general space needs are currently being met, but they're certainly cognizant of not wanting to lose any space because it is well used. They do a lot of different things in that space, and so use a small space very efficiently. And so we're working to try to maintain at the very least what they currently have. So some photos on the left of their existing space usage. And then we looked at what are some of the current ideas for corp yards being built out there right now, and we found some examples of both new buildings that might include new offices, but also new storage. So potentially indoor vehicle storage or just improved spaces for their use. And finally, housing. So, housing is that 132 units. We've generally divided it out as the required 60 affordable units. We're then looking at about 70 market rate units, and we've looked to see if there's a couple areas on the site where we might actually have some additional single family units that blend into the existing neighborhood, say off of Maxwellton or Abbott. And so we've programmed two single family units here. The blend of single family to the into the market rate can certainly change in terms of typology, but it's 72 total of market rate. We looked at a whole series of different housing typologies, thinking a little bit about style, also about how you might build into the grade. So say that image on the upper left is showing a project that is taking up grade. And while style is important, that's not something that we're considering just yet in the process. But we have certainly gathered some feedback from the initial survey on stylistic preferences. We'll be building that into the actual specific plan document in the future.